Hey, everybody. It is Lanissa and Kate, and we are back again with another episode of What's Hot and What's Not for physician liaisons and healthcare sales reps. And today we are talking about sticking to the pattern because sticking to the pattern is what's hot.
Definitely.
So, Kate, you have so many amazing thoughts about sticking to the pattern. And when we talk about the pattern, we're talking about the daily rhythm of your day, your week, your month, and then your quarter. So, Kate, I would love to hear your thoughts on this and tell us what you think about
All
the.
right. I will pontificate on the patterns
Oh,
now.
okay. Pontificate away.
uh, so it's interesting that we think that I have a lot of good thoughts around patterns because I've spent most of my adult life trying to own a rhythm versus just like, I think what's not hot, freestyling it. Cause I'm very much a wing it person. Like it's worked for me thus far. But when it comes down to it, this type of job of being a outside liaison, physician liaison, outside sales, there's nobody really giving you a pattern. So you have to find your own pattern and it has to be one that actually works for you. And I like the word rhythm. I know you mentioned rhythm because a rhythm allows for the ebbs and flows of things that come up or different seasons, different initiatives, things that come up internally, things that come up externally. But if you have that baseline rhythm established, then you're able to keep sailing, through that. Um, the daily rhythm, of course, is your call cycle, knowing where you're going to go. And once you kind of get that done, then you don't have to think about that. Like you just already have the rhythm of where you're going that day, where you're going that week. What is your goal for the week? Do you do admin on Wednesdays or do you do admin on Fridays or whatever that may be? But having that rhythm and flow of that really safeguards you against getting caught up in some whirlwind or some chase, rabbit chase, rabbit tail, rabbit chase.
Rabbit
Is that a
trail.
word? Rabbit tail. Okay, thank you. Rabbit trail,
I say rabbit trail.
tail.
I don't know.
I don't know. Totally getting away from the pattern with that one. Um,
Well,
because if things come at requests come at you from outside, you're able to look at your rhythm of the week and say, oh yes, today I have XYZ, but on Tuesday afternoon I can do that for you. So you're able to manage all of the requests and all of the demands that are put on you while still doing what your main job is, which is moving the dial forward with your referral network and bringing in patients, right? So got to have that rhythm. And I think that we all have a rhythm, even if we don't know it,
oh,
right?
I love that point. Yes.
Like it may just be that you wake up on Monday kind of with the Monday blues. You kind of slowly get going, like, oh, it's another Monday, just gonna kind of ease into it. And then it's Tuesday, you might have a good productive day. Wednesday, you've got a couple of meetings. And then Thursday, you're like, oh, it's almost the weekend. And then Friday, you're like, it is the weekend. Yeah. And then before you know it, you're looking back at your quarter or your month or your year even, and you did not see the dial move like you wanted it to. And so really having the humility to recognize what rhythm do I have? And is that rhythm working for me? And finding ways to make that rhythm simple so that your brain space is freed up because we can only make so many decisions. I mean, it's true. There's studies about this. I can't quote any offhand, but there's so many studies about your brain can only make so many decisions. And at some point you reach that exhaustion. And so it seems like the decisions you did make you feel really like awesome about those, but maybe those decisions didn't actually do anything to move the dial forward. So what do I mean by that? Like if you're waking up on a Monday and just then deciding where you're going that day, you're using brain power to map that out or to write that out or to say, here's where I'm going, right? And then when you go, you get to check that off and be like, yes, I did it. Productive day, everybody. See you tomorrow. When the truth is, if you wake up on Monday and you already have that established because you made your call cycle at the beginning of the quarter, now your brain power is bringing value to those calls. It's saying, oh, yes, I remember I wanted to talk to that doctor about this because they had a patient recently that would have been a perfect candidate for X. And then you're moving the power forward. So at the end of the day, you're instead of saying, yes, I made my calls, you're saying, yes, I had great quality calls and I actually move the business forward. And your brain had the power to do that. So there's really just a huge advantage to having a rhythm and a flow. And everyone you work with gets to know that rhythm and flow, and they accommodate it, or, you can work together synergistically with their rhythm when it aligns with your rhythm. And I think that makes that beautiful partnership between your home office or your own doctors and surgeons and your referral network, and really bringing everybody to a win, if that makes sense.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. So, Kate, I know you know, and anybody who's spent time with me knows that I am a fanatic about a call cycle. And
number one fan. I think you're the number one fan.
Right. And this is exactly the reason why, is because you can free up that brain space and that brain power to focus on, you already know where you're going to go. It's already established where you're going to go.
Right.
So you don't have to worry in the morning, am I going to get up today? Am I going to get out of bed? Am I going to go make these calls? You've already decided that, and you're going to do that. And then, like you said, you freed up that brain power, and now your brain power can focus on, what am I actually going to say on these calls? How am I going to actually build these relationships? So that is the absolute strength of the pattern, the value that the pattern can bring to your life, which is why that's what's hot. What's not hot is freestyle. And honestly, I mean, if Kate and I are being really honest with you, our personalities lend themselves in a lot of ways to freestyling it.
Absolutely.
And, some of the ways that we actually learned the value of the pattern is because we did some freestyling ourselves in our early days, or we had to learn how to build the pattern because we built maybe unhealthy patterns or patterns that didn't work. And so, what are some of those good patterns? Just knowing that each week, like, this is going to be my office day. Kate, you and I have talked about a lot of offices close at noon on Wednesday. And so that may be a good Wednesday afternoon, may be a good day for admin time for you. That may be a good day that you meet with your own internal leadership. That may be the day that you refill the trunk. So just knowing what those patterns are that are going to work for you. When are you going to do those things? Also, even like quarterly patterns, we haven't really touched on that yet, but knowing that the rhythm of our business is such that, once a quarter, we have a quarterly leadership meeting, or we have a quarterly team meeting, or we have a quarterly continuing education meeting. And so then you already know, you don't have to think about whether or not you're going to do it. Then you just already know you're going to do it. So then it's just more about putting those logistics in place. And so that is the beauty of the pattern. Sometimes it seems like the freestyle is going to be fun, but I can tell you from my own experience, and Kate, you can probably chime in as well. The freestyle seems like fun, but then you're always stressed out figuring out where you're going to go, what you're going to do, or if the numbers aren't where you need them to be, like why, what happened, what didn't happen that I needed to happen. And so it is that pattern that brings you that value, that rhythm, and it frees up that brain power to really focus on what's important.
Yeah. And I think a really simple analogy, I mean, it's so bare bones. It's like if you're doing an arts and crafts something, right? And you have dots on the construction paper of what you're supposed to cut, and you follow it, right? Then the end result is the shape of what you were supposed to cut, right? Maybe it's a heart, right? But if you grab a piece of construction paper and you're just like, well, I just don't really know what I'm going to make, no telling what's coming out of that. And there's beauty in the abstract, and there's use your creativity. We're not saying you have to be a robot, but having that baseline rhythm, it just empowers your brain and yourself to really come into your role fuller than you could have ever imagined if you're not following a pattern. If you're freestyling it right now, you may think like, oh, I got this. I use my own style, my own perspective, or I do it this way. You can bring all those things into that baseline pattern that Lanissa is talking about, the call cycle. It's proven. I mean, it is proven. I tried to rebel against it. I can humbly say using the call cycle really did change the results. So cut along the dotted line as best you can, and then you can glitter it and color it and make it your own, right?
Right. Yes, yes.
Okay.
We are all for fun. We're all for cute, and we're all for bringing in your own personality.
Yes.
But there is potential in the pattern, and we want you to realize that full potential. So
Yeah.
that is what's hot today.
Stick to it.
What was that?
Stick to it. Stick to that pattern.
Sticking to the pattern is what's hot today. And if you want to learn more, you can check us out at our new website, lanissabrantley.com. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye-bye.